Proverbs 17 verse 3. All right, it says the refining pot is for silver and the furnace for gold. What's the furnace? What's in the furnace? All right, and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the heart. So I'm going to use the refining process as an example. What does it mean to refine gold? What does that process look like? It's a very tedious, very long process to get a nugget, to get a gold dust. Something that once it's put through the whole process is only worth $5. There's 6 steps to refining gold. First step, mining and initial processing. The second step is concentration. The third is leaching. The fourth is purification. The fifth is smelting and refining. And the sixth is casting. So what is mining and initial process? Well, you have to find what you think might have gold in it in the mountain, in the rock. You go to the mountain where you think it has gold. You chip some rocks and then you put it through a grinder. It's a whole process. Remember the word process. You put it through a grinder and you turn it into a powder-like substance. And with water, you begin to go through what's called the purification process. And that water, you have to mix it and mix it. I mean, it takes forever. And then when you look at the very bottom of the bowl, you can see almost like glitter. Glitter, glitter. Then you take that and you put it in a furnace, which is the smelting process. And when you put it through the smelting process, what you do is you have to put it in the fire. Smelting is the process used to separate any impurities of the gold. So if you don't put it through the smelting process, first off, if you don't put it through the grinding process, you don't get to anything else. So first it's got to get crushed. Then it's got to get sifted. Then it's got to go through the melting process or smelting process just to get a little gold dust. They actually look for what's called gold ore. And I'm like, what is an ore? Like, what even is that? And all it is the rock. So they have to go through that process of chipping away the rock from the gold, because the gold is not like I thought would be like big nuggets in the rock. No, it's speckles all throughout the rock. And when they find a small sample, they say, okay, there's more gold there. So they have to repeat the process and take bigger samples. Because it's not like it was in the gold rush days, where I think there was much more gold and probably larger chunks at that time, but it takes years to develop in the ground. But it's an amazing process to go through and see that this is actually how God wants us in our Christian walk. He needs us to go through the process. Because if you don't go through the process, you don't get all the impurities removed. Which meaning, if you still have impurities in the gold, then it's not a good product. And if you skip a step in the process of refining the gold, you don't get the desired outcome. So we can't skip any steps in the process. We can't bypass the steps that God is calling us to take in our life. We can't skip steps, because at the end of the day, we will not get the desired outcome. We'll still have too many impurities, and it's not going to be the effective product we want it to be. So I'm going to ask you to reflect and think about, have you been allowing yourself to go through the process? But how many of you really are in agreement with what the process is that God has over your life? Because if you're not aligning with the process that God has over your life, you're going to have those impurities. You're going to have those faults. You're going to continue that cyclical behavior because you have not gone through the process. The younger generation in ministry wants to skip the process. And that's not the way it's designed to be. So guess what? You got to sit down. You got to be under leadership. You have to learn how to serve. Everyone wants to be a leader, but nobody wants to serve. You have to learn how to serve because that's part of the process.